He can bang his gavel all he wants. I still think he's an absolute fool.
You're a 100-year-old. You don't even have an understanding for how phones work. The words came out loud and clear. At 16, the girl was leaning back in her chair as if she owned the courtroom. With a dismissive contempt for those she deemed irrelevant, outdated, and powerless, Judge Frank Caprio remained motionless as he watched her with the quietness of an angry man who had heard every insult imaginable and had learned that silence was more powerful than anger. The girl nodded in agreement. She felt like she had been dealt a tough slap and was unable to see through it. Judge Caprio's actions were not limited to the attention he paid to narcissistic teenagers. He observed the girl whose phone was confiscated as proof, containing messages about the night she ran into a parked car. Messages about her being amused and laughing were all part of the message exchange between the two individuals. Messages that ridiculed the owner and revealed her father's hidden secret, which would alter her perception of him and her life in a profound way, caused her to become engrossed in the subject. Tell us where you're watching from. The courtroom was tense that morning. People moved around in their seats, some were whispering. The majority of people looked directly at the girl, pondering how someone so young could be so icy. Judge Caprio surveyed the file and the phone that had been placed in a plastic evidence bag. The girl was unaware of his knowledge. The situation was about to change. Judge Caprio exclaimed, "Let's go ahead." The clerk worked his way through paperwork with the same level of mechanical proficiency as if he had been there 1,000 times. He adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. He announced case number 5, 271,183, against Sophia Chen, and charged her with leaving the scene of an accident, reckless driving, property damage, and obstruction of justice. She remained slouched in her chair, using a borrowed phone to scroll and barely listen to the sound of Judge Caprio's voice. Miss Chen sighed and said, "Stand up when the charges are read." She continued to hold the phone and then put it away, leaving the room. "Where's your dad?" Judge Caprio asked, and Sophia chuckled while putting it in her pocket. "Hey, my father is on the job," she said. "There's no need for him to be here. I'm capable of dealing with this myself at the age of 16. Judge Caprio scrutinized her with caution, not with anger, but with a level of concern. "You can handle this yourself." He remarked, "Yes, your dad concurs, right," with Sophia's shrug. "He has confidence in me." Judge Caprio nodded slowly and wrote a note. "Let's see about it," he said. At 9:24 a.m., the case was referred to Judge Caprio, who requested that the defendant's father be contacted. With her arms folded, Sophia regained her confidence. Judge Caprio seemed to be wasting her time as she waited for lunch. "Did you have an understanding of the charges against you?" Sophia's response was, "I understand, but they're overstated," causing Judge Caprio to raise his eyebrow. "Exaggerated? It wasn't a major issue. The car was hardly damaged. You collided with another parked car and drove away." "I was in a state of panic, as Sophia mentioned. I'm only 16 and have just obtained my driver's license." The Judge Caprio leaned forward. "Ah, did you exit?" And then Sophia hesitated for a moment. "After that, I headed back home." Judge Caprio nodded and proceeded to open the file in front of him, taking out a picture and holding it for her to see. Judge Caprio reported that the silver Honda Civic had a rear bumper that had been crushed, shattered the tail light, and had deep scratches on the driver's side, leaving Sophia with blemishes on her face. At 7:30 in the evening, it was dark and the sun had just set. There were street lights. "I was scared," Sophia said, but her voice was now softer. Judge Caprio took a photo of her. "Miss Chen, why do you think you are here today?" she asked. "Due to your violation of the law, Judge Caprio made a decision to run instead of accepting responsibility, even though Sophia refused to answer. A decision that had an impact on someone else left Sophia looking apprehensive. "Is it possible to move on?" Judge Caprio's expression was mild. "We can't," he replied calmly. Sophia Chen had the ability to work in a room, deflect attention, and minimize distractions. She had also learned that people would often believe her when she acted like it was not important, despite her father's busy nature. She assumed that Judge Caprio would be the same, a senior citizen who was unable to comprehend her circumstances. Her father responded by saying, "You can't punish me." He remarked that he didn't have any real power to judge, but the courtroom remained silent. Judge Caprio's gaze caused Sophia to squirm. He finally replied with a yes answer, and I'm not sure why he didn't reply. He's a legal professional. He comprehends how this LL operates. Judge Caprio raised his head slightly. Your father works in the legal field. It's a matter of corporate law, and he handles significant cases and significant matters. I can see how Sophia regained her confidence. She believed that mentioning her father's occupation was a gesture of power, indicating that she was from an understandable family. However, Judge Caprio was not intimidated by this gesture, viewing her as if she were the missing piece of the puzzle. Miss Chen spoke softly. Did you have any knowledge about your father's actions during the past 6 months? The question presented a slap that left Sophia looking confused. Can you tell me what your father is doing and where he's at the moment? As Sophia pointed out. He frequently travels and is always on the lookout for work. Is he busy? Can you clarify why he said it to you? Judge Caprio chose not to reply and instead glanced at the back of the courtroom, where the door was being opened, causing Sophia's face to turn pale. Did your dad receive a text from Jenna, Sophia's friend, on October 9, 10:47 p.m.? No, definitely not. He won't be staying because he's never been home. Jenna, you're going through a tough time. Sophia, I'm okay. He's not concerned. David Chen arrived at the court dressed in a slick suit. He wore a loose-fitting tie, his face was slanted, and his tiredness was more intense than the lack of sleep. He didn't look at Sophia or anything at all, but instead he walked straight to the front and spoke directly to Judge Caprio. I'm sorry I didn't arrive earlier, but I wanted to say that it was your honor. Judge Caprio nodded. Mr. Thank you, Chen. Sophia remained motionless in her seat. What are you up to? David asked. His eyes flickered with a combination of emotion. I'm here because you need me, he said calmly. Sophia's voice chimed, but David couldn't handle it. Judge Caprio was not alone in his observation of the conversation. He then spoke. Mr. Would you mind sharing some inquiries with me? David agreed. Your daughter informed me that you are a corporate lawyer and have been dealing with significant cases. Is that accurate? David's gaze widened and he gazed at Judge Caprio before turning his gaze back. He denied the claim. Sophia's head trembled towards David, who admitted to not having practiced law in 6 months. His voice was steady but not very good. I was terminated from my job in April and have been on the lookout for work ever since. The courtroom was so quiet that you could hear people breathing. What's going on? Sophia whispered, I don't know how you're feeling, but I know you are not worried. At 10:51 a.m., the defendant was visibly shaken as he stopped and swallowed, not wanting to appear like me. After a brief respite, Judge Caprio directed them to the officer who was positioned near the side door. Officer Martinez, he said, send me your report. Officer Lisa Martinez stepped forward. She was in her mid-30s, quiet and professional with a presence of dignity that she didn't require it. On the night of October 9th, I responded to an attempted assassination at the intersection of Benefit and Angel Street. Mr. While parked, Raymond Torres, 68, was struck by his car. Sophia's gaze widened. Mr. Torres, who has severe arthritis, uses his car as a mobile office for his photography business, according to Officer Martinez. When he was thrown against the door, it caused extensive damage to his vehicle and injured his right shoulder. Judge Caprio's eyes dimmed. He required medical attention. Yes, Your Honor. Judge Caprio glanced at Sophia and acknowledged that the car was hardly scratched, while Sophia opened her mouth. Despite the investigation, nothing was revealed. According to Officer Martinez, the surveillance footage from a nearby business showed the defendant's car colliding with Mr. Torres before leaving without halt. We also found the defendant's cell phone as evidence. and she held the plastic evidence bag with text messages that were sent immediately after the crash. The messages contained no regrets or remorse. She actually made a joke about it. Body cam audio shows October 9, 8:15 p.m. Officer Martinez, what's going on here? It's possible that someone informed me, Sophia Chen. According to Officer Martinez, you were inside a car and left. He's in pain. Sophia Chen, I wasn't aware of anyone present in the vicinity. Would the 5-second break have had any impact? The evidence bag was left on the bench by Judge Caprio, but he has not yet opened it, and I am requesting a lawyer for Sophia Chen. The weight of it hung in the air like a menacing threat, according to him. Miss Chen, I remember you texting your friends after the accident, and I noticed that Sophia's face turned white. The room became smaller and smaller, and Sophia's eyes were filled with panic as David greeted her. Dad, Sophia, he whispered. Speak the truth. I didn't mean to be honest, Judge Caprio. Read aloud, his voice clear. October 9th, 10:52 p.m. He paused while texting Jenna Park and proceeded to hit an elderly man's vehicle. Lol. Didn't stay put, Dad was oblivious. Sophia's hand trembled, Judge Caprio went on. At 11:07 p.m., I sent a text message to Marcus Way, indicating that my father would not be bothered if I caused harm to their home. I'm completely untouchable. Judge Caprio stated that he removed the paper, stating that it was untouchable and that Sophia was crying silently. You thought you could do whatever you wanted because he wasn't paying attention. Sophia nodded off, unable to speak. Judge Caprio turned to David. Mr. Chen, would you be willing to disclose to your daughter what you've been doing over the last 6 months? David paused in a shaky pose while attempting to keep the family financially able to continue their daily routines. Sophia's face was bruised. I didn't tell you because I was ashamed, and I believed that if you knew I had lost everything, you would lose respect for me. Dad, I thought you were weak. According to David, he was mistaken, and his voice sounded off. He believed that hiding the truth would make people feel alone and unimportant. I made you believe that you were untouchable. He wiped his tears. You are not, and I should have told you the truth from the outset. If you're over 50 and seeking genuine justice, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. David Chen's voicemail to his sister was recorded on September 23, 2:14 a.m. Despite working 16 hours a week, I am still unable to pay the mortgage. My daughter, Sophia, thinks it's just her job and I don't know how to tell her the truth. I'm at a loss for how to fix this. The only sound in the courtroom was Sophia's weeping. Judge Caprio didn't hurry up. He was aware that certain truths needed to be acknowledged. At last I spoke to Sophie. Sophia, she whispered softly and looked up at her, her face swollen with emotion. Judge Caprio expressed regret for your actions, stating that they were terrible. You caused someone to be injured, you ran, and you lied. You thought he didn't care, so why did you do it? Sophia nodded and barely stayed still. Judge Caprio continued. He has been sacrificing everything for your health, his sleep, and his pride. Your family was burdened by him, but he didn't want you to feel overwhelmed. Sophia let out a tearful farewell. I apologize deeply. Judge Caprio's expression softened slightly. Sorry isn't enough. The apology is not an apology, but rather a way to demonstrate the value of what you've done, regardless of who you are, he said. To Torres and to himself, he said to him, Mr. Chen, your daughter needs to learn responsibility, and she should learn it from you rather than hiding it. David nodded and replied with a smile. Judge Caprio returned to Sophia. This is what's going to happen, he declared. Judge Caprio opened the file in front of him. His voice was composed, restrained, and had a certain semblance of order. Sophia Chen, I whispered. As a 16-year-old, your life will be defined by the choices you make today. Sophia wiped her face as she listened to the court proceedings. You caused an accident. According to Judge Caprio, the individual who caused harm to a man departed from the scene without any remorse or regret, and they joked around with their companions. This is not a mistake, it's not something you make, but I want you to have the option to make another one. Sophia looked up in fear and confidence. According to Judge Caprio, participants will undertake 100 hours of community service with a local organization that provides assistance to elderly and disabled individuals. They will learn about their daily experiences and understand their challenges. Sophia nodded quickly. Enjoyably, I have instructed you to compose a letter of apology to Mr. Torres, rather than an email or text message. Instead, you will provide elaboration on your remorse, including the reasons for your actions and how you plan to amend it. Judge Caprio stated that he would personally deliver the letter and apologize to his face, despite Sophia's nod. Your license will be suspended for 6 months, as stated by Judge Caprio, and you will attend a victim impact class to hear from individuals whose lives were affected by reckless drivers. You will remain in the same location and listen attentively. Your father and you will attend family counseling every week for as long as it takes to get you back on the right track. On November 24, 2025, the Elder Care Network will conduct 100 hours of community service. In person, a handwritten apology was given to Mr. Torres, who was suspended from his license for 6 months and was required to attend classes, counseling, and family counseling. The minimum restitution payment of $2,400 for vehicle repairs was also given in the court case on May 20th. Sophia, her father, was looking at her with an expression that was hard to read. Would you agree with these terms? The question was raised by Judge Caprio, and Sophia replied with a nod. Yes, I accept. We've reached our ending. Judge Caprio spoke again as Sophia and David departed, Mr. Chen. Judge Caprio stated that David turned around and acknowledged that his daughter doesn't view him as a failure. She thinks you are an unfamiliar person. Demonstrate your genuine self to her. David's eyes erupted in tears. I pledge to honor your memory. On the first day of community service, Sophia arrived early and her father drove her. Although they didn't speak much, it was not the cold silence of before. It was the tentative quietness of two people learning how to communicate. The converted church on the east side of Providence was where the Elder Care Network was located, and it had a scent of old wood and lavender. A woman with silver hair and kind eyes met them at the door. She exclaimed, "You must be Sophia." "My name is Margaret, and I will act as your supervisor." Sophia said, "Hi, I would like to thank you for your willingness to volunteer here." Margaret smiled. "We're happy to have you join us. Follow me." Sophia was taken by her to a communal area where 12 upperclassmen were engaged in various activities. A few individuals were engaged in reading, knitting, or simply observing from the window. In the corner, there was a man in his wheelchair who had his right arm wrapped around his lap and was being monitored. Sophia's stomach dropped. Margaret said something softly to Mr. Torres. "You have a visitor." He had a sharp, guarded gaze, but not an insult. Sophia said hello, and her voice shook. She held an envelope. "I sent you a letter, and I wanted to give it to you personally." He opened it with care and read it silently. After completing it, he folded it neatly and placed it on the table. He expressed gratitude, but Sophia swallowed it with gusto. "I'm truly sorry, mister. I'm sorry, Torres, that I hit your car, but I also feel remorseful for my actions when I ran away. You were not entitled to any of that." After a brief glance, Raymond nodded and acknowledged his apology. "I'm looking for someone to assist me in organizing my photos. Can you provide any assistance?" "My shoulder is in a bad way right now. Can you handle that?" Sophia blinked and cried, "Yes, I can." Let's start with the case follow-up log. Sophia Chen has fulfilled 67 out of 100 service hours completed by February 12, 2026. The staff reports a significant shift in attitude and responsibility. Mr. Torres has asked her to continue assisting with his photography project after hours. Sophia gained more knowledge than she had ever before in the last 4 months. She gained the ability to be more patient and considerate of others. She also discovered that Mr. Torres had covered wars, natural calamities, and extraordinary human sacrifice. It was also revealed that his camera was not just a tool, it was his heart. Her father had not abandoned her. Throughout the day, he had been fighting for her in ways she never thought possible because she didn't even bother to look. Initially, the counseling sessions were difficult, filled with prolonged silences and uncomfortable truths, but they eventually became more meaningful. David confided in Sophia about the shame, fear, and unruly behavior of driving strangers around the city for 12 hours. Sophia recounted how she had experienced loneliness, inexplicability, and a sense of inadequacy towards him. "I used to care about him," David said one day, his voice sulking. "I'm sorry I missed seeing it. I made it hard to see." Sophia then reached over and took her father's hand. "We'll be fine," she said. Her hand was squeezed by David. "Ah, we are." The courtroom was filled with warmth and light on May 20th. The presence of Margaret, Mr. Torres, and Jenna and Marcus in the back drew attention. As Judge Caprio entered, a crowd gathered around him. He asked for someone to sit down. Sophia appeared more serene and composed than before. She sat upright, looked into his eyes, and didn't look away. Judge Caprio stated, "You've finished your community service, gone to counseling, paid restitution. Now that you've acknowledged your apology, how do you feel? I don't think I understand at all. What's going on with you?" "I am aware of the consequences of my actions and the importance of other people's lives. Her words have become ingrained in me, but I couldn't help but feel like my dad was my hero." The Judge Caprio smiled, small but sincere. "It's a really hard lesson to learn, but it matters that you learned that." He closed the case. "The case has been closed and your license will be reinstated within 30 days, and you can continue without any issues." Sophia was present. Subsequently, she hesitated. "Your Honor, I acknowledge, yes. May I continue to volunteer for Mr." The look on Judge Caprio's face broadened. David stood and shook his hand at him. He expressed gratitude, for seeing her, saying, "Thank you for everything." Judge Caprio nodded. "Take care of one another." Sophia and David walked out. We were not heading in the opposite direction. Holding his camera up, he asked, "Can you please take a picture of mine?" His answer was, "Second chances." Sophia nodded in agreement. "It's been a while since I've been here, don't you think?" asked David. His daughter leaned into him. Judge Frank Caprio observed them in the quiet courtroom. He pondered over fathers and daughters, secrets and lies, and the moments of love that unite us. His concern was for justice, not just punishment, but real justice that heals. Watch this video to see if you missed out on the opportunity to watch the video.